This is Matt for Into Boxing. Delighted for the first time in a while to be joined by Eddie Hearn. First off, how's things? Are we good?
Yeah, all good, mate. Just about got over Wood Conlon, I think last time I saw you. And then, of course, Warrington Martinez this Saturday. Here to announce Boatsy Richards today. So all good, all good. I went to the UFC at the weekend. That was good fun. Life is good.
You started off with Wood Conlon. Let's just talk about that. I've said this a few times, but that has to be definitely the best fight I've ever seen live. Lee Wood, incredible guts and heart. Michael Conlon, I thought, was world class throughout. Bit of a lapse in the last couple of seconds, but what a fight.
Yeah, the most dramatic fight I've ever seen up close. Some people take the piss out of me because I say that a lot, but that was Conlon was brilliant. The crowd was brilliant. I wish that, Michael Conlon wouldn't have been stretchered out of the arena because, I would like to have seen him get on his feet in the ring and selfishly would have liked to have celebrated in a way that you'd like to celebrate with a victory like that. But thankfully he's okay. Lee Wood, absolute hero, massive now in Nottingham. He's got the keys to the city, and just a brilliant fight. As we go into another big featherweight fight this weekend, I really feel like we're going to get a great fight this Saturday, and the atmosphere is going to be electric.
Before we move on to what we're here for today with Avanesyan Richards, just talk to me about Lee Wood. I think I heard in an interview he said, look, he wants to move on and unify or for another big fight. Is the rematch out of the question completely, or what's the feeling?
Lee Wood holds all the keys. He's got the ability to do what he wants now. The rematch is a very big fight. So is the Warrington Kiko winner. So is Leo Santa Cruz. I would like to see him get that city ground fight. It's something that I promised I'd deliver for him if he won. He did win, and we'll sit down with him and Ben and MTK or whoever is helping make the decisions, and we'll go from there. But he's the governor right now. So whatever he wants to do, it's up to him.
Absolutely. Right, Joshua Boatsy, Craig Richards. I think when people look at these types of fights, they always think, that'll be for a world title down the line. And you mentioned something quite key in the press conference of, let's just not wait while the belts are tied up. Let's take advantage, because there's that many light heavyweights. When you look at Anthony Yard, Callum Johnson, these lot could just fight each other for years on end and they get great value for entertainment.
I think that these are the kind of fights we should be making, and I think it's really important that we do. It's such an obvious fight when you've got two British light heavyweights who are both world class, both from Croydon. It's like Fowler against Smith. It's only when you make them you go, why didn't we do this ages ago, or why aren't we making more fights like this? So you get to a point now, and this is one of the beauties of being in DAZN, where we have the budget to go, how much do you want? Okay, we'll pay it. And then they both go, oh, okay. And we made a massive offer to Anthony Yard to fight Joshua Boatsy, and he wanted to wait for Joe Smith. Now, Joe Smith's fighting Beterbiev in July, so what you do, wait till December? You could have had that fight, you could have had a massive money fight. Callum Smith, again, I'm desperate to get Callum Smith a world title fight. It's not there. So what are we going to do? These guys have got to come together. Yard should fight Callum Johnson. Yard against Callum Johnson, same kind of fight.
Same banner.
And I just feel that pay the guys and let them be in massive fights, and this is a good example of that.
This show, as good as it is, obviously it's going to clash with Zach Parker and Demetrius Andrade. Is that something that could have been avoided, just because of the state of boxing at the minute with that many outlets?
It's not ideal, but May 21st has been our date with DAZN for 6 weeks while I've been closing this fight. Obviously we got the news that's on the same night. Not ideal.
Is that just boxing at the minute because you've got Pro Bellum and everyone?
Look at last Saturday, you had the UFC, you had Frank Warren's show, you had Pro Bellum. So, this weekend, we got Warrington Martinez, Sky have got a show, Pro Bellum have got a show on Friday. Every weekend, and it's a good thing for boxing. Yeah. No one likes a clash because it doesn't benefit anyone, but unfortunately with venue selection and broadcaster requirements, you're going to see them. You
just mentioned, just heard in your previous interview, so shout out to Danny Flexen, you mentioned that Frank Warren's been talking about you for the last 10 years. Where do you get, is that just from, do you watch all the interviews that come out, or do people tell you stuff? Where does that come from?
I just see them, I see the rants, and
do you get a kick off it? Do you think that you...
Yeah, I do. I shouldn't, but I do. Because I watch it, I can't stop laughing. I send his interviews to people and go, look at this, he's gone, his head's gone completely. And I know I shouldn't do it, but I just can't believe that a man of that age, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, because he's the same age as my dad, would, at that age, you have to be at peace. You can't let just some oik get under your skin so badly that the blood pressure and the stress is going out of control. Because he's walking around. I know people tell me, oh, seen what he said, seen what he's done. What? It's just not just on the camera. It's all day. It's wake up in the morning, what's Hearn doing? It's go to bed at night, what's Hearn doing? And it's come to a point now where I understand when I came into the sport, I'm going to be on your mind. But don't let me infiltrate your mind in the kind of way that is going to make things unpleasant for you. Yeah. So, like, you know, I don't know. I've never met the guy.
You were supposed to meet for lunch pre-pandemic.
I got COVID, then he started saying a few things, and then it just... Also, to be honest with you, like, he doesn't want to make any fights on our platform. He never has done. I don't really want to make any fights on his platform because it's nothing to do with the relationship. It's more about our jobs. Yeah. My job is to put the best fights on around the world for DAZN. His job is to put the best fights on around for BT. So really, and that's why he didn't take the Yard fight, because Yard could have made a life-changing amount of money to fight on DAZN against Buatsi, but he didn't want him to fight on DAZN, and I understand that. And I don't really want one of our stars to fight on BT, but sometimes when you've got nothing for them, you've got to let them. It's like Demetrius Andrade against Zach Parker. We lost the purse bid. I could have easily convinced Demetrius Andrade not to take that fight. Go and fight him. You know, it's not on our platform. It doesn't matter. We lost the purse bid. Dillian White, same thing. Oh, Dillian, don't take the fight against. Of course, go and take the money. Go and take the fight. You
mentioned not wanting to obviously work together or one fight on the other platform, but he's previously come out and mentioned Avanesyan fighting Conor Benn, and he'll put up his best. And obviously, Joe Joyce. No, go on.
I know.
Your chance.
Go on. Let me tell you about David Avanesyan. Did you watch that fight on Saturday? It was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. I mean, how can you get away with putting that fight? He talks about, he wants to make up stories about DAZN subscribers. More people are watching DAZN than are watching your shows on BT in the UK. Show me the viewing figures. I'll get the viewing figures of his last two fights. Lee Wood against Conor and Kiko Martinez. Stuffing them on viewing figures, right? Anyway, that's another point. You cannot sit there and call out these world-class names like he does on Avanesyan and fight Liam Taylor and Metz. Right? And by the way, Avanesyan against Conor Benn, really good fight. And after this fight with Chris Van Heerden, Conor Benn has to have a big, dangerous fight if he comes through. And Avanesyan may be in the mix for that fight. Right? But you can't build a big fight by fighting Metz. And that was main event. Can you just imagine if I put that fight on as main event on my card?
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Interesting. I'll get lynched.
Well, what about, he's mentioned Joe Joyce being a perfect opponent for Anthony Joshua.
He's a perfect man.
Well, a good step in if Usyk's busy. What was he made contact over that? No, anyone made contact?
No one has made contact with me on that fight at all. I saw something where he said I've reached out to, but you can do this by trying to be clever. Maybe you reach out to the management. I'm the promoter of Anthony Joshua. No one's reached out to me about that fight. But anyway, it's irrelevant. Joe Joyce, world-class heavyweight, definitely would be a good fight for Anthony Joshua. No, but again, let's see him active as well. But if Usyk is not available for that fight, then we will look for an interim fight. For me, if you're preparing for Usyk and you've got a new training team, you should fight a southpaw. And that's Zhilei Zhang, who's fighting Filip Hrgovic now on the Canelo card. That's Otto Warling, that's Luis Ortiz. If not, then I'm open to a Joe Joyce fight, no problem. You've got to understand, these two have grown up together. Like AJ thinks that that's a very, very straightforward fight for him. So maybe we make it. But once we find out if there is an interim fight, we will go forward and start negotiations with various fighters. It's the golden ticket. Yeah. I know, I don't blame Joe Joyce for begging it, because I'd be begging it. And I love Frank's comment, Joe Joyce is #1 in the world, so AJ could really get something out of that fight. Come on, do me a favour. It's just people queuing up for the payday. Payday. You want payday. I know that.
Oh wow. I just want to move on to UFC this weekend. You were there with Dana White. First off, talk to me about Fraser Clark. Now I've heard what you've said. You thought you looked good in that picture, so you wanted it more zoomed in. Come on. You joking?
On my life, right?
Not just trying to crop him out.
On my life, right? Look at what I did was, if I wouldn't have tried to zoom in, I would have just cropped him out. But I went on Instagram and I zoomed in because I said, I know it sounds narcissistical, if that's a word, but I was looking really handsome and I wanted everyone to see it, so I zoomed in and all of a sudden it goes like that and Fraser Clark was on the end. AJ was on the other end. I'm not going to lose AJ. Fraser Clark's got nothing to do with us. He's not part of my team. We had to lose a man.
That's cold. That's cold.
I know. I didn't think. But listen, it's the best exposure Fraser Clark's had. You know, it was massive. It went everywhere. So I love Fraser. I genuinely do, and I wish him all the best with his injury. I think he's broken his hand, but I had to lose a man for the zoom in, and that is the God's honest truth.
What did you think about the event at UFC? It looked amazing. And what did you and Dana speak about in terms of, is he thinking about doing bigger shows? Was he asking advice? What was he saying?
Firstly, I thank Dana White for his hospitality, because he asked me to come down. Next thing, I'm sitting next to him in the octagon. I mean, I felt like it was. I was blessed, because I've never really watched MMA, and it's absolutely brutal. And I enjoyed. He talked to me through the fights about the disciplines and what was happening when this guy was on the floor, and it's fascinating. The energy was great, the fights were great, the brand is great. And look, we all know I'm the best boxing promoter in the world. Doesn't mean I'm the best promoter in the world, because it's probably Dana White. He's a goat, isn't he? So for me to sit next to him and watch this video, it was really, really good for me to see, and I enjoyed it.
I'm going to speak to you and catch up with you in Leeds, because I'm in Leeds the next couple of days. But final one just before we go, back and forth, Devin Haney, George Kambosos. Are we going to get this fight on? Looks like there's no obstacles in the way now with Sadler and Lomachenko.
Looks like there's nowhere for George Kambosos to go. It was very nice of him to say, Lomachenko ruled himself out, and then George Kambosos went, all right, well, I'll fight Haney then. Oh, thank you very much. I thought we didn't want to fight you. So we got an offer last night, we're reviewing it, we'll go back today. Let's get that fight made, undisputed world championship in Australia, hopefully June the 4th.
Eddie, and thanks for talking to Into Boxing. We'll catch up in Leeds.